Jaws close around a defender's throat and lift it clean off the ground. A second raider is already inside. They pour through the entrance in one unbroken line, and the guards die where they stand. The attackers did not come to eat. They came to steal children. So how does a species survive only by stealing another's young? The answer is written into their bodies, and it looks a lot like ours. Watch the raid again, slower. The invaders are a species called Polyergus. The defenders outnumber them badly. They should win this. They do not. Because the raiders are not fighting with jaws alone. As they breach the nest, they flood it with a chemical weapon. Scientists named it a propaganda pheromone. It is a lie sprayed into the air. The defenders suddenly smell danger everywhere at once, panic, and turn on each other. An entire colony's defense collapses, not from force, but from a false alarm. A single raiding column can be several hundred ants long, and it almost never fails. The war is won before it is fought. Now the raiders take what they came for. Not food, pupa, the wrapped, unhatched young of the colony they just destroyed. They carry them home in their jaws, carefully, gently. The same jaws that killed the guards a minute ago. And here is where it stops being a war and becomes something worse. The stolen young hatch inside the enemy nest. An ant never sees its mother's face. It learns who it belongs to from the smell of the nest around it in the first hours of its life. So these captives wake up, breathe in the scent of the ants that murdered their colony, and imprint. They believe they are home. Our scientist leans too close to the nest wall to watch it happen, gets bitten across the hand, writes it down, and keeps watching. They will spend their entire lives feeding, cleaning, and defending the nests that erased their own. They never find out they were taken. There's no word in their chemistry for stolen. But the disturbing part is not what the captives believe. It is what the masters can no longer do. Look closely at a Polyergus raider's jaws. They are shaped like curved sabers, perfect for punching through another ant's skull, and useless for anything else. They cannot dig a tunnel. They cannot feed a larva. They cannot even feed themselves. Take the enslaved workers out of the nest, and the masters will starve to death surrounded by food. A naturalist proved this 200 years ago. He sealed a group of them in a box with honey and their own young. Within 2 days, half had starved. Then he dropped in a single slave. In hours, it had fed the survivors, cleaned the nest, and rescued the dying. The conquerors are the most helpless creatures in the entire colony. They ruled themselves into total dependence. Every generation they got better at raiding and worse at living. The weapon and the hand that can no longer hold a spoon grew on the very same body. So ask yourself, which one here is actually free? The ant that does all the work, or the ant that has forgotten how? And in other slave-making species, the stolen ones fight back. The captives rise. They stop caring for the master's eggs. They tear the captor's young apart before it can ever hatch. Biologists call it a slave rebellion, and it is real, encoded, inherited. A resistance written directly into the DNA of the captured. But rebellion changes nothing at the top. For the masters, raiding is the only thing left inside them. Now look up from the ants. We built this exact machine, not once, by accident, but for thousands of years, on purpose. A class of people taught from birth that the house they served was the whole of the world. A ruling class that forgot how to feed itself, that would have collapsed without the hands it owned. We did not use a pheromone. We used culture and law, and a story repeated to children until they believed it was the sky. The architecture was identical, a lie sprayed into the air, a childhood quietly rewritten, a master made helpless by his own power, and a captive taught to call the cage home. The ants at least have an excuse. It is burned into their nerves. They cannot choose otherwise. We could. That is the only real difference. The jaws still close around the throat and lift. The single question evolution never has to answer is why we ever chose to build the same thing on purpose.